Bum.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Jeff's having some issues, so I am beaming. Let us know how we look and sound. Jeff Grubb, how are you? I'm going to skeet real quick.
Yeah, no problem. I skeeted and I tweeted, so I'm good. Thanks for streaming. I'm hate when things don't work. Really gets to me. Two things that really bother me: things falling down. If I am holding a bunch of garbage and I'm walking out to the trash and one thing falls out of my arms, I get unreasonably pissed off. It's like gravity. It happens to everybody, but for some reason I take it as a personal attack on me. And then things that I want to work not working, boy, don't handle that well. So get frustrated, but whatever. I will troubleshoot and figure this out tonight and probably reinstall OBS. Who knows? That our NZXT deal ended, so I bet that CPU in this computer is fucking dead because it's one of those Intel ones that was going to die eventually.
Fine.
So, yeah, good time.
Self-destruct.
Yeah, it's self-destruct.
All right. You guys aren't going to hear my music usually, but
It's
no
okay.
worries.
second. How do I do
You
that?
just give us a countdown.
How about I just say, it's the internet, you're busy, let's do this, then you'll know to do the rest, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, hang on. Let me make sure I got this here.
You ever
Okay,
see, if
I'm
you guys
good.
see Jeff's video go black, it's just because of me moving some windows around. He'll be right back. All right. Ready?
Yep.
All right.
Let's go. Give me a countdown.
Yeah,
before we start the
5,
music.
4, 3, 2.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this.
No,
Welcome to the
no,
Game
no,
Masters-
no. That's not what the countdown was for. The countdown was when I'm going to start playing the song.
You're playing the song?
Remember, I even just said, I'll tell you what, I'll do the part where I say it's, it's busy, let's do this, and then you do the rest. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I thought I understood. I'm going to be honest, I didn't.
Yeah, so since you can't hear it and only I will know when to come in, I'll say that part, then you could do the rest
I
of it.
get it. Oh, I get it now. Now that I've been shamed publicly.
All right, here we go. This time for real. 5. Well, let me rewind the song. 5, 4, 3. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Game Master Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb, and with me is
Mike Pinotti. Hey, it's
I'm going
me.
to say your stuff now because you get to say my stuff.
It's good radio.
Yeah.
That's great. That won't confuse anybody.
No, that's fine. Hey, Mike, thanks for doing that. If the audio listeners, if it's weird, my OBS wasn't working, so Mike had to help me out there. But hey, we figured it out. We're live. We're recording a podcast on Switch 2 reveal today. That's happening in today's episode. Also, Sony kills more live service games before they're even born, and it says here I'm an egotistical bastard. That's what,
Boy, people really got mad that you don't necessarily want the Switch store to be curated. That really bothered people.
I think what we're discovering is that some blue sky skeeters get mad about everything. I think we're at that point of the social media sort of like arc where Blue Sky was like in a honeymoon period.
Yep, yeah.
And now there's people that don't know how to do it who are just out there like replying to everybody. We will eventually shame enough of them that people will learn some etiquette. But for now, it's going to have to be calling me a Nazi because I want people to be okay with clocks being on the eShop store. So, hey, it's a fun little thing happening over there.
I had someone today when I said something about a skeet. They're like, skeet also means jizz. You probably don't want to use that term. And I had to be like, that's the joke. Right?
Like, that rules. Oh, my God. I love it.
Incredible.
Mostly, I think it's very entertaining to me. Someone was in Dan's replies being like, I'm too old for video games. I'm like, yeah, get his ass.
Hell yeah.
Just go there and rake him over the coals.
I'll tell you what, though, I still like it much more than X. In fact, I go over an X. And
yes.
I'm a little surprised that, like, so many colleagues are kind of still sticking it out there at this point.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked, in the midst of Elon Musk and Asmongold, like, publicly feuding. They're still posting
Right.
there, right?
it's an embarrassing platform to use for sure. And for me, the like, I'm not going to quit Twitter. I will occasionally be on there, but whenever I'm on there, I am miserable. And when I was like, I have mostly moved over to Blue Sky, and the reason I was like hanging it out, like trying to like survive on Twitter, was like I was here before these assholes, and I feel like I have an ownership there. I made my bones on Twitter. I was able to like get like a kind of a career because of it. I was able to make a lot of connections, so I felt like an ownership over it. And then it just, the camel straws, backs, that sort of thing all happened with the election, and Elon Musk being weirder than he's ever been. And so, yeah, I'm like, I have moved on. And so when I do go back, you're right. It is surprising how many people are there, but they're just, they were like me. They were addicted to it. So they can't quit.
And
it's
like,
hard.
I get like a lot of people have big audiences there. I was surprised how quickly I got 75% of my audience, at least, when, basically more engagement right away. That's the reason why I switched. I was like, okay, I'm going to dual post now. I'm like, oh, the Blue Sky stuff already is getting more activity. I'll just go there. Screw it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I'm not going to probably get back to the over 100K, whatever I had on Twitter anytime soon, but I'm already also getting more engagement usually on Blue Sky. So, not that that's what drives me is just having an outlet to just post my bullshit, just an exhaust thing. So, and it both work fine for that. So I'm going to go with the one that is not miserable.
Well, I'm sure people love hearing us talk about social media platforms.
I know that's their favorite thing. They want more of it. Absolutely. Hey, you can get more from us by joining our thing. Blah, blah, blah. Let me just read this here. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening, and hit that like button on YouTube, please. It helps people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you could drop a super chat during the show on YouTube. We'll read all of those before the end of the program. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. Thanks to 1UP versus CPU for our artwork. You can find more at 1UpVersusCPU.com. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to all the mods, especially as we're getting started this year with stuff like Fantasy Critic, all this other stuff. Lots of moving parts, lots of help there. Thank you all for keeping the community so cool. Lots of people wanted to be in Fantasy Critic, and it was a lot to manage. So again, thank you. Thanks to Christian for producing, and you can get more from Mike and me and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you access to our Discord server, participation in Q&A sessions, and our Game Club discussions, early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. We will try to get a new Columbros together here pretty soon. Friendly reminder, you can also become a supporter by becoming a YouTube member or a Twitch subscriber. Mike was streaming tonight, twitch.tv/Tolkoto. If you were there, you hit that little thing where you get the Amazon thing, you get all those same benefits. Come hang out in the Discord with us. It's a good time. Real quick note on all this. We do our best to kind of do stuff with the Patreon when we can, and that's not very often. So as we have small little pockets of time going through 2025, I would like to know what you would like from us. If that means, you want us to try to get Jeopardy done, if that's your favorite thing, basically pick your favorite thing. Let me know. We'll go. Maybe, Christian, can we do something like in the Discord with the podcast producers? Maybe just kind of a thread, gentle nudging towards us of what you want from us, and we will try to focus on that. No promises, but shout outs to Fudsack for that suggestion. I appreciate that. So
Jeopardy already seems like a winner in chat. People,
I know people love Jeopardy. It just that one's also a big ask of Sean, so it's that's also a tough one to do. But we will maybe try to do like once a quarter. Maybe that's something more reasonable. I can also pay Sean a little bit more for that. Maybe make it more worth his time.
We'll try to figure something out there.
We will try to figure something out there. All right, Mike, I got some big topics. You want to get to them?
What? Like what? What could have possibly happened?
You're right. I'm lying. There's nothing really to talk about.
What we said at the show? What have we just said at the show?
Just end it. Yeah, you know what? Let's go back to our families. Switch Two's announced. I talked about this on Game Mess Mornings today, so I'm more interested to hear more of your thoughts since we did that talk over this morning on Giant Bomb. How are you feeling about the Switch 2 as we get into the evening of its announced day?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, Jeff, just to have the thing out there. There's like a little bit of that. Hey, wow, yeah, that sure is just the thing that all the leaks said it was, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of have to be a little aware. Well, yeah. It is. That's fine. I kind of liked all the stuff that was getting leaked, right? I like the magnet-based Joy-Cons. I like the bigger size. I like the teasing of the, mouse support for the system and things like that, the bigger kickstand, all of it. So yeah, I like that. I think, maybe they could have done a bit of a sexier presentation. I know we joked about the rooftop party. I got shocked they didn't go that route with it. And hey, it was a little bit of a surprise to see Mario Kart, and very clearly the new Mario Kart. It just clearly looks different, especially like when you really look at details, like Donkey Kong's new model. That looks a lot more kind of like the movie version of him. So yeah, in general, I'm just really glad that it happened and that it is just the Switch 2. Can I be a little bit of a stinky asshole for just a moment about something?
Yeah, please be the stinkiest asshole you can be.
Yeah. For years, I said that this thing should just be called the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And I swear it's the last time I talk about this. Even today, lots of great people, Jeff, friends and colleagues and listeners of the show. You're all fantastic, and I apologize if this worsens our relationship, but they're still like, should have been called the Super Nintendo Switch. Jeff,
Get it right.
that name always is terrible. And I don't just mean from a marketing perspective, because that's true for sure. Terrible from a marketing perspective. Awful to say. Cringy is the word I would use. It makes me cringe when people say that should be the name of the system. Not good to say. Terrible mouthfeel. I don't think it looks right. Yeah. Terrible name. Everyone who ever wanted to be the name was wrong, and we're here now, and I feel better.
Well, you know what, Mike? I've come around to your side on this.
Oh my God.
A few weeks ago, I was like, I heard someone say Super Switch, and I was like, I had a visceral reaction where I was like, oh, I don't like the way that sounds. Mike, you are 1,000,000% right. It's actually a bad name. It's a bad
name. Yeah. It is funny to see just how, like, the logo for the thing is just a 2, right? Like, they are being like, there's a Switch 2. The 2 is more important than even the Switch part.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And like, people are saying that, like, what happened to Nintendo? They would never do this before. And it's like, to me, this is totally in line with Nintendo. When they're like looking for an answer to like how they should present something, they always look to Apple. Apple has not abandoned numbers yet for the iPhone. So they're like, you know what? Let's just do that. And, you know, people are like, oh, they're like the PlayStation now. I guarantee they looked at Apple and they're like, hey, these are the masters of presenting products to people. How should we do it? That's what they looked at.
And Nintendo's done a ton of sequel consoles. The Super Nintendo is a sequel to the NES. Game Boy Advance, sequel to the Game Boy Color and Game Boy. The 3DS sequel to the DS. Wii U sequel to the Wii. Just because it's a 2 now, which, you know, it's just kind of making it a bit more obvious. And of course, I can imagine that maybe there was one guy who put up a real stink, another stinky asshole, when they were trying to name the Wii U. He's like, I think we should name it the Wii 2. And then somebody's like, that's not how we do things here. And this time around, he was like, listen. He like went up to the chalkboard and just drew a giant 2, right? It was like aliens.
Like, what should he call it? You're right. And it's like, I'm going to make it even bigger. He erases it and makes the 2 even bigger.
Yeah. Like, we could just call it the 2 even. I don't care. But as long as we have a 2 there, that's not negotiable.
You're right, and I was a little bit like surprised to still see people today being like, that shouldn't be the Switch 2, shouldn't be the name. It's like, it definitely should be. They are trying to accomplish a certain thing with it. This does that. We don't care about names. 5 seconds after these things come out, it's only something we really discuss now, unless it's a Wii U situation, and then we always go back to how the names suck. That's the only time we talk about names of consoles after they come out. It's if they're a problem. So if we don't talk about this name after it comes out, that is a huge success, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get here. As far as the actual, like, what they showed itself, it was a lot of what we saw in the leaks, right, Mike? And then Mario
almost
Kart.
Exactly. I'm kind of impressed, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's wild how it's like, oh, this is just everything we've heard for the last little bit. Turns out if you have some of that mock-up hardware, and then now more recently, maybe people actually have shoot hardware, you can glean a lot of what's going to be happening in this video, because this was a hardware-based video. And then they showed Mario Kart, Mario Kart 10, I guess. And yeah, that's not surprising either. There was always going to be a Mario Kart in the first year on this thing. Seems like this is them signaling, hey, this is the launch game.
Yeah, and that's maybe, like, my one bit of anxiety, and not much, because to be clear, I, like, give Mario Kart some shit, but even I was like, hey, new Mario Kart. All right.
And if you were like if you were in charge of Nintendo and someone said, "What should we have
Yes.
first on this system?"
Oh God,
You're like,
yeah.
maybe Mario Kart. Well, I
Right.
like money.
But I was just running off the assumption for so long, like 3D Mario launch game, and now that we know Mario Kart for sure, and we don't know 3D Mario for sure, I'm like, maybe 3D Mario isn't there right at the launch. It'll be this year, and I guess that's fine.
Right.
But I'm like just not quite so sure it's for launch now. And that's like the smallest bummer ever to me. The other thing I complained about online for a little bit, I did my usual like black consoles are kind of boring thing. And then like people replied, I suck so much. People replied and agreed to me. And I was like, is this what I sound like?
I'm laughing hard because I know exactly what you mean. I do that all the time. It's like, oh man, I'm standing next to a bunch of kind of shitty people. Oh no.
I was like, it looks fine. Never mind. I like it. It's okay. So yeah, I am generally very positive.
I'm with you. I'm really happy with it. The size, the sleekness. I'm of course I want to hold this thing, see what it's like. That will like a lot of things will click into place at that moment. But based on what we know now, what we can see, yeah, this is fantastic. I do like the little accents of color.
Yeah. Somebody said, and this is just for the Star Trek nerds. Someone online said it's if the Switch is the Star Trek The Next Generation uniforms, this is the Star Trek Deep Space Nine uniforms. And I'm like, yes.
And because like the Deep Space Nine uniforms are mostly black with accents of color, whereas the Next Generation colors are mostly color and then some accents of black. And it's like, yeah, totally, 100%. And that looks great. So yeah, I'm happy, ready to sort of like get on with it. April 2nd for the Direct. How do you feel about that?
I'm glad that they said it, right? Like, hey, here's where you're gonna get like all that the other info that you're craving. A little bit longer than I would have guessed, and it's like, okay, maybe that April launch date hope isn't happening. And so now it's like I can like optimistically hope for May or June. I'm like getting ready for late summer. I don't think holiday still, but maybe summer at some point. So that's fine. But yeah, other details, like the mouse thing, even that rumor being true. Some people are like, oh, but, do you really want to use a Joy-Con as a mouse? I'm like, probably, but, like, now that we have this support, I assume that Nintendo or just anybody can make, like, actual mouse controllers, right?
I mean, yeah, and, the Switch actually had people reminded me of this, and I think in the back of my head, I knew this all along. You could plug a USB mouse into the Switch and play something like Game Builder Garage.
Really?
Using a mouse.
Oh.
Yes, just that, which is always weird. It's like they didn't add that support for Super Mario Maker 2. It's like, why didn't you do that for that? But
Super Mario Maker 3!
Man, that would be great. So I think you're right. Like, just the fact that there will be a mouse built into this thing, a lot more games will, like, gesture at like support for that. Like Civilization 7 probably will have mouse support just because it's a launch game and they'll want to support all those features. And then you'll be able to plug in a real mouse if you want, and all that stuff will just map automatically to that. So yeah, and I think that that's only so exciting for third-party games. But I am someone who likes weird Nintendo, and I think this means we get some cool weird Nintendo games. Like not a ton of them, but like 3 to 4 that take advantage of this stuff. And that's all I really need personally, because what I really want from the system is for it to be what it is. The Switch 2, another Switch, more power, a bunch of Mario, Zelda, Kirby games. I'm going to be happy. And then the team that makes, a Rhythm Tengoku can surprise me with some new weird rhythm game that you play with a mouse. That sounds awesome.
That's the other thing everybody always said they wanted some kind of like fun little gimmick here, right? Because the Switch had a couple of those, and here it is, right? This mouse thing, neat. Didn't see it coming until it got leaked. Didn't see it coming before that.
But it doesn't get in the way, right? It doesn't change the feel of it. No developer has to support it to make their game make sense on the device, the dual screen stuff, which I like the dual screen stuff. I wish things had dual screens, but that was like, you have to kind of make your game for the DS. You do not have to do that here with this gimmick. That is the ideal place for Nintendo gimmicks to be existing in right now.
Let's talk about Mario Kart, because that was a pretty interesting little peek at it. Now, again, like the more you look at it, the neat little details you glean from it, like there's spots for 24 racers or something there, and also the track they show is very wide and very long. Now, some people are like, "Oh, maybe this is like the Burnout Paradise of Mario Kart games." To me, I'm like, well, I think the track's like that because this is a track for 24 racers potentially, right? Or do you think there's more to it than that?
I think there's probably more to it than that, because I think even with 24 racers, The track looked pretty wide.
Pretty big.
Now pretty big. And I just think the way the map looked made it feel like this is a track that is being sort of cordoned off on top of a world that feels like it maybe extends past this. It's like they were putting objects here to show that this is a road, and it feels like one that's like, oh, we all drove out to a place, someone activated a race, we all agreed, let's do the race, and now the race is taking place on that part of the map. It kind of looks like that to me. Now, could be seeing ghosts where there are none. But I think I am sort of beginning to buy into that theory. I like it. It also feels like a good way to sort of do something new with Mario Kart that could be very fun, and Nintendo could find a way to make it very Nintendo.
Well, it makes sense, when I think about it, because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still just going to be playable on this thing, and that is such a perfect form of that original Mario Kart idea already. Why not take a bit of a swing here? That's everything we didn't really talk about, right? Backwards compatibility, digital, physical games, except for there's some exceptions, presumably just things that require the old Joy-Con kind of latching on technology, I assume.
Yeah.
But
I mean, maybe, we were trying to look at that weird little glowy thing underneath the Yoshi gas station. Maybe that is a waypoint to start up a race. Why would that be in the middle of the race? Of course, I understand that, but just maybe there is something to that.
It would be cool. It would be neat.
I'm in favor of it. I wonder if it would scare off some Mario Kart traditionalists, but I think it's I don't know. I bet there would be a way to just
still do
open up a menu.
Yeah, you could. I mean, even outside of it, you could still just have classic tracks in there and stuff like that. But the idea of some kind of open world mode or where you can just join online races organically like that would be a ton of fun.
Yep,
I'd be all for it.
I'm down for that. Yeah, so feeling good about Mario Kart. I hope, again, we don't know anything. April 2nd, all the other games will get revealed at that point. I bet they will have a 3D Mario, even if it does get dated for the holiday. Yes, they'll show it at that thing.
See more Metroid Prime 4 for the first time in a while. Obviously, been holding on to that.
Metroid Prime 4 probably shows up at this rumored February Direct. Now we're getting rumors of that. Because, that thing will they still will want to say, hey, this is a Switch 1 game. Even though it's probably definitely going to get major support on both sides of that generational divide. But that does make me wonder. It's like, okay, so Mario Kart, and then we were assuming something from the 3D Mario team. What else would you want right at launch to really make this thing feel awesome, to get off to a good start?
I mean, I think they are going to position, however you do it, Breath of the Wild 60 frames per second as a big deal, and that alone is a pretty big reason.
I think you are probably right about that. I think Sean mentioned that when we were talking this morning, and it's I guess. But now the more I've thought about it, the more it's that does make sense as hey, everyone you love this game. Maybe you haven't played it in a while. It continues to sell very well. So there's always a new person that seems interested in it. I think that will be right there. It's I just feel like they need one other thing. And again, we're assuming 3D Mario isn't ready to go at launch. But if it is, that does solve that problem. I guess, Mario Kart, and then do you think maybe a Splatoon? Maybe it's a bit early for Splatoon.
I wondered about that on Last Nintendogs. Maybe a little. We thought it was maybe a little early for Splatoon. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 again. It could still, Switch 1 game. They talk about it, but it could still just launch on both consoles on the day that the Switch 2 comes out. It could still be largely positioned as a launch game. If you have that, you have Mario Kart, you have Breath of the Wild 60 frames per second, and then what we presume is going to be an absolute deluge of third-party ports of beloved games from the last 10 years or so that are finally running in pretty decent quality on the Switch 2. I do think, I kind of want one other weird thing, surprise, and maybe that is the thing that shows you why the mouse thing is good, and maybe that's Mario Paint, right? Maybe it is Mario Maker 3 right there at launch, or something really interesting like that. It'll probably be something completely out of nowhere. It could be that MMO testing that they did also.
Yeah, you're right. And all of those, I think, with a little bit of extra marketing push, making it feel important because it's a Nintendo Switch 2 launch game, a lot of those things that you suggested will hit very hard. I think especially a Mario Paint would, I think, get a lot of people excited, even people who weren't there for the Super Nintendo. It's this weird thing you always heard about. I think Nintendo could really easily make that feel special.
What would you rather have, a Pikmin RTS or a Star Fox RTS?
Oh, that's interesting. For me, I would go Pikmin because I always imagine like the Pikmin franchise sort of expanding beyond its original idea and getting bigger and bigger. It's like, oh, like one of the characters returns to their home planet and they find out that an evil corporation came and got Pikmin 2 and they're trying to take over the home planet with that army of Pikmin, and you sort of have to do Pikmin on Pikmin battles. And I always thought that would be pretty cool, but I would take either.
It could be RTD, real time Dandori. Which is already real time now I think about it, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but even more real time.
It'll be the realest
real
time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Price. That's the other thing people are buzzing about.
Right.
I think everybody thinks it's either 400 or 450, right? Those seem to be the two options here, really.
And really, when everyone kind of feels that way, Nintendo doesn't really have. They have a choice. They don't have to do anything that we want them to do. But when everyone sort of has this gut instinct that the thing should be priced that much, and it is more expensive than your last console, I think they kind of have to try to get it into that window. This thing is going to come in, underpowered. I don't think that matters very much, but it would be weird if it was anything more than 450, because then you're right next to the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and really 400 you already are, because the digital edition of the discless version of the PS5, it's already 400. Maybe they upgrade up the price to 450, but whatever, that right there. So I think this thing launches at 400, and they then very quickly, within a year to 18 months, 18 months to 2 years, have an OLED ready to go for the following holiday, and then they get that up to 450.
That comes bundled with Mario Kart or something.
Yes.
You know what? I love talking about the Switch 2 as a real product. This feels great. This is so nice.
It is good to have, like, we've popped the seam, and now we have fully broken through to the other side. Here we are. We could talk about this real thing that people could stop, like, quit talking about it until they say something, which I'm not mocking you. I felt the same way a lot of the time. But now here we are. Everyone agrees. This is the thing. It's real. Let's do it. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I love this.
Here's another one maybe for launch or launch window.
Please.
Fire Emblem? That remake?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, God, that Fire Emblem remake, we've been speculating about that forever. It apparently has been done for a very long time. If it doesn't show up in that February Direct that, again, rumored to be coming, then, yeah, I expect that to be a launch game for the Switch 2. And why wouldn't they want to have a Fire Emblem at this point? Kind of serve a lot of audiences, and that serves a very specific audience on the Switch 2. So, yeah.
What do you think happens with the NSO retro consoles? Do you think there's a big drop on day one? I don't know if there's a new console added on there, but do you think they take that as an opportunity to maybe add some stuff that people have been hoping for and haven't seen yet, like Donkey Kong 64, like, Big Dream Mother 3, like, hey, yeah, we translated this and it's on NSO now. There you go.
Yeah, I think that the big drop in terms of a bunch of games added like that makes sense. And then closer to the holidays, they'd probably have some new features, maybe a new console at that point, because that's when people's subscriptions begin to lapse. So they won't want to have something big and exciting around that time. It'll also be going into the holidays for the Switch 2. So I think that is when they try to nail down something that is bigger and more exciting. But at launch, they have a couple of things to remind people about NSO. Although Mario Kart, you need to be online for that game. That's going to sell a lot of Nintendo Switch Online passes.
Right. And Mario Kart is going to be such a good showcase, hopefully, for improved online features. And perhaps the mysterious C button, which we see the button in this reveal. It doesn't have the C on it that we've heard about before, but that button is there. I think what we're thinking it maybe stands for campus or community these days, and that might be the hub for a lot of the social functions of the Switch 2.
Yeah, right. I wish they would have shown that. I'm glad they showed the mouse stuff, but I think I would have preferred to seen, hey, what does that button do? But that's stuff they're saving for April 2nd. I get that that's something they need to go deeper on to really explain how they expect people to approach that thing. But yeah, online features. I hope that the Switch 2 has a lot more basic online features. Really, the Steam Deck is so good with its microphone and its speakers for if you want to play games online on the Steam Deck, it's actually a really good device for that. I think the Switch 2, if it could just match that would be excellent, where I could just talk into this thing. It doesn't have any problems with echo, where people can hear themselves talking because it's coming out the speakers and coming back through the mic. If they could just have a basic good interaction between people I'm playing games with online, to the point where it's we are going to be playing together in this open world Mario Kart game at launch, that would be fantastic.
I'm jazzed. I'm pumped.
Yep, me too.
I'm excited.
Me too. Yep. We'll see. We'll see the price. We'll get the release date. Backwards compatibility, that was, confirmed again. We knew that was going to be the case, but they basically just kind of laid it out that it is exactly what people want. The physical game cards and the digital games will all just work, except with a few exceptions. They said they didn't say what kind of exceptions. Although people are speculating, hey, Labo won't work because the Joy-Cons on these on the Switch 2 will be too big, and it maybe doesn't have an IR receiver or IR camera. So 1-2 switch, and everybody's 1-2 switch won't work. Maybe there were a couple other that use that. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Mikey. Yeah. But yeah, do you think anything else beyond that is a problem?
Is Ring Fit something that needs like the old Joy-Con kind of fitters?
Yes, you had to slide the Joy-Cons onto the ring itself. So yes, that wouldn't work either.
I don't. Ring Fit 2 could just be a launch game also, honestly, pretty early.
Yes,
so
Ring Fit was a huge success for them. I expect them to do another one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. I see there's lots of super chats coming in on this. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody watching.
Yes, if you want to talk about this topic, we will, of course, answer any of your questions there. Let's get through the rest of this news real quick, though. Sony canceled 2 more PlayStation projects. Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg has reported 2 unannounced games were canceled at Bend and Bluepoint. They were both live service games. Bend was working on Bluepoint was working on a God of War live service game. What was Bend working on?
We don't know. Just a live service game.
Okay. Just a live service game. Okay. This happened because of Concord, Mike. This should be clear. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, so that's not a meme. That's just real.
Not a meme. I memed with the online, but that is real. It is because of Concord.
Man,
and it is what everyone, you look at it. What do you think it is? It's that. It is Sony is shell shocked from Concord, and now they're going around to every studio and they are reassessing every single project. And if it's a live service project, it has a lot of friction going against it, preventing it from getting a chance to actually come out. To the point where it's like, okay, now these studios, these were their projects. This is what they were working on. Maybe they had some other stuff going on in the background, but these were their main projects. If they are going to want to have to pitch new projects now, and it is almost certain that they won't be able to get a green light on a live service project, and they know that, so don't expect that from these, which I think most people will take as good news. But the bad news there maybe is that these studios were kind of like had a pathway to continue to get a lot of funding from Sony because Sony was going so hard on live service games, and now they got to come up with a pitch that maybe is a more traditional game. And what is Sony's appetite for that, right? We've heard the rumors from Andy over at VGC that they're working on smaller games, deep cuts, bringing back some old IP and things like that. But those would be smaller projects, things that come out more quickly. Are they going to want to make a quad A jumping Flash, Mike? Probably not. So how do these studios sort of come up with the pitches that get Sony excited without sort of being too big that Sony doesn't want to actually give the money over? So these studios are still in rough positions, but they are no longer working on live service games.
Yeah, I mean, with Bluepoint, at least it should just be obvious. Hey, let's have them do another remake. Hey, Shadow of the Colossus, that went well. Let's remake Eco. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? Do something kind of safe. And that's the part of it that also pisses me off, Jeff. Besides the security of all these people, obviously. But this was a lot of just time and money and resources wasted on these talented studios on these live service games, and that God of War live service. What are you talking about? What do you mean a God of War live service game? Did AI pitch that one to you? What the fuck does that even mean? So now they spent years working on that when the PlayStation 5 already has a problem, just not enough first-party exclusives. We were lucky to get a couple a year, and then one of them's a Concord or something like that. So, yeah, just baffling that they went in so hard on this live service direction. And it was funny, we had Helldivers too, right? Hey, this is going okay. Then it just immediately cratered harder than you could possibly imagine. It can't be understated how much Concord flopped. It's not trying to be a joke about it anymore, trying to be mean. Historic flop. That they got cold feet about pretty much every other project like this.
Scared them off of everything.
Right. And even before that, Right, same thing. We had that with Naughty Dog and Faction, so another waste of resources and time that could have been
Yeah.
spent maybe working on Intergalactic or something else. But yes, especially bad when this is like the main thing for the series. It would have been better for Ben to actually have made Days Gone 2 than this. And maybe, hey, maybe they just pitched that now. That game did make money at least. It's better than taking another weird live service gamble here. They definitely got to just worry about making good, interesting games again than just trying to chase what the trend is. And then by the time you're ready to make that game, it's 4 years into development. It gets canceled anyways.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I feel like we all just stand on the side and be like you said, what do you mean by God of War live service game? But that's the kind of pitch that was getting greenlit because you're a studio and you're like, what can we say to these people to get the money we need to keep all these people working? And it's like they want to hear live service and they want to hear an IP that they feel good about, and someone's already making a Horizon MMO. So what do we have? Like, a God of War live service? Let's see if we can make that make sense to them. And then, the Sony executives don't have a vision. Not that they're alone in the industry not having a vision.
Sure.
Very few companies have a good idea of what's coming next. But they don't have a vision. They hear that, and it's like, okay, this is the solution to our problems going forward. And that like it just took Concord to like shake them awake and be like, oh, this is not the answer. And yeah, it's just it's going to take time for them to kind of figure out what's next. And so if you were looking forward to something from Bluepoint or Bend, it's going to be years and years and years before they're able to get something out.
What's going to happen with
Fair
Bungie?
Games?
And Fair Game, Bungie and Marathon, that kind of stuff.
Maybe Fair Games was far enough along to like, well, I guess we'll try, but I guess we'll release it.
I think that's the case with Fair Games, where they're going to just try because it was close enough. And people feel good about that game, but they also felt good about Concord. So who knows? As far as Bungie, Bungie is the same conversation we had when all that stuff went down with Bungie. Which was, with the news about like, hey, the future of Destiny 2, and then all those people getting laid off, some people getting moved into Sony, which is, hey, we got to try to make more money from Destiny 2, even though we're going to put less work into it. That still needs to make even more money. And then Marathon has to hit hard and be a perfect success. And then at that point, Bungie can maybe get back on its feet and have a long-term vision for its future. In the meantime, you basically got to draw an inside straight. You got to you're waiting for the 7 of clubs, and that's the only card that you can win with. That feels like the situation that Bungie's in. So, it's rough. It's rough in every direction for a big company making video games like Sony in the traditional games business. Not that it's like super easy in mobile or anything like that, but it's just, it feels so stagnant, so anemic in terms of obvious growth that these companies they're not even flailing anymore. They are sort of turtling and becoming very defensive and very conservative. And they have laid off a lot of people across all these companies. And so it's like their chance of them being the ones to make the next big game that will grow and pop off is reduced. So it's just kind of not a great situation anywhere in the industry, and especially at a company like Sony right now. All right. Let's see. Those are the big topics that we wanted to talk about. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Mike, can you read some super chats for me?
Of course.
All right. We'll do that right after this.
All right. All right. We'll break. I had the Evo lineup, but I took it out of because
it's fine.
You started to. Yeah,
we're going. Someone wants to talk about that super chat.
Yeah, Chef. What do you say if we skip the topic, the Mount Rushmore, and we save it for Nintendo's because we have a bunch of.
That sounds good. Good call. All right.
Good stuff. All right.
Do we want to do this game that you made?
No. We can skip that. Yeah. All right.
Sounds good. All right. Let's. You're right.
We can see how. Yeah, we can see if we get through the super chats fast too before we make that call. Whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, you're right. On the other side of the super chats, we'll see how we're doing. But there are a lot of super chats, so let's see how we're doing after that. Okay, I'm gonna bring us back in.
Perfect.
All right, Mikey, we're back. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening. We got some super chats. We should read those. Go ahead, take it away.
Thank you, everybody. Big Fresh 37 says Mario's definitely not until holiday. Definitely is strong. I'm not optimistic about launch anymore. Maybe I'm kind of just preparing myself for that at this point. Part of me's like, I maybe still hope for, like in that Splatoon 2 slot with the first Switch, right? Something like that. But hey, if it's holiday, so be it. I'll get it this year. I'll be happy enough.
I mean, maybe the Switch 2 is holiday. Like,
Yeah.
like we don't know yet. So, but I get the sense that it probably isn't, or not that it probably isn't, but it could come out in May, and that Mario Kart could be there right at that time. And Nintendo maybe makes a bigger deal, because if it is a big open world style Mario Kart, to me that makes it feel like a bigger deal than just another Mario Kart. Maybe that's unfair, but that's how I feel, and that can carry the system through launch through the summer. And then you get the other side of summer, you get the August, September. If you have Mario there, that's going to hit super hard, and that can carry it through the holidays. So, yeah, that's probably close to how it goes down. I will be okay with that.
Big Fresh 37 says, if the God of War game was just that roguelite mode with 2 to 4 players, that could have ruled. Also, Mario Kart 10 will get DLC this entire gen, I bet. Would that have ruled?
No, I bet it would have been fun. I bet they would have made a good game.
I bet it would have been fun.
Like a successful live service game that like justifies this studio spending their time doing this instead of something else. No way.
Yeah, I mean, how do you keep people coming back to that? It's difficult. Mario Kart,
you put weird skins in it from the latest popular TV show Severance. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Mario Kart 10 will get DLC this entire gen. I mean, we thought that about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then like it didn't for years until the end. We thought that about Animal Crossing. Like, that seemed obvious to get constant DLC support. It didn't. It's just not usually how Nintendo does things. Maybe it's going to change. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, their DLC is them selling that same game at the same price to a new customer 5 years later. And they make more money doing that than other companies make by selling DLC.
Simon from Saskatchewan says, no new bike club on YouTube. What'd Mike do this time? I was the only one who predicted what was going to happen this time. I try to warn everybody.
We got copyright close to a strike. We got a warning. We got a copyright warning because the game Terminator 3 Rise of the Machine just straight up shows long uncut scenes from the movie.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Did Dan do his sensitivity training or whatever that is?
Not yet, but everyone agrees he's the one doing it, and people want him to stream it. I'll see if that's allowed.
What are you guys like editing it to put it back up, or what's going on with that?
That's such a good question, Mike. You're a smart guy. Someone should ask that. I don't know. I assume so. I will double check with Jan and Sean and see what they think.
All right. Cyber from Saskatchewan says, last week I said an old-timey 19th century swear liver disturber. Like you two, I thought it was something with alcohol. Nope. It means a massive penis.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
See, I just assume it was a man's. Well, okay. Never mind. It could be anybody's liver. All right. There you go.
Simon from Saskatchewan with a bunch here at the beginning. Thank you so much, Simon. Simon says, when will we start hearing Switch 2 Pro rumors? Give that, 2 years?
2 months.
2 months. Let's go.
You know what? Let's start now. It's just like, they're making one.
Yeah,
sure.
There you go. We'll just go with that. We'll say Nate said it. Simon says, rest in peace, David Lynch. Have you 3 watched Twin Peaks? No, but somehow I've seen Eraserhead. So I've seen that. I've seen Blue Velvet. So I've seen quite a lot. Very talented filmmaker for sure.
Yeah, I've seen the first season of Twin Peaks and really, really loved it. And I've seen a handful of other Lynch stuff. Mulholland Drive, that was him, right? Yeah. Yep, I love Lynch. I also just love his personality, his vibe, his interviews, everything about him.
Yeah, R.I.P. the goat. I didn't want to say it because it makes me very sad, but we lost a great human being, like for real this time. So
we lost the real one.
R.I.P. the goat.
Simon says, have you seen the doc trailer for George Romero's Resident Evil movie? I wish that happened. Who'd you like to start Resident Evil movies again? Jordan Peele would be cool. You know me, Jeff. I don't really care. I don't know what you could possibly do to make me care about a Resident Evil movie anymore, really.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where I would probably be interested if someone told me it was like this inventive new take on the genre. Short of that, I am fine. But I suppose someone like Jordan Peele could deliver that. So
I'd be more interesting than I would expect, right?
Exactly.
Better than Paul W.S. Anderson again, I suppose.
Right.
Big Fresh 37 says, are the electromagnetics strong enough to hurt a kid if they get their fingers in between the Joy-Con and the dock?
Probably not. No, probably not. Nintendo would have definitely thought about that. They made their game cards taste like shit, specifically because they were worried about kids eating them. So this would have been probably the first thing they would have brought up. So no, that's probably why it's like a deep well where it's actually kind of hard to even get your fingers in there before it activates, and the thing probably doesn't activate until it's a little bit closer.
A lot of people are kind of freaking out about like the magnet connector there being a big fail point thing. Like kids are going to drop it, it's going to snap off or something like that. You think that's founded at all?
I mean, I think there's always reasons to assume a piece of technology could have fail points, but until we get in our hands, I don't see the point in being all anxious about it.
Andy G says, love the show. Is there any chance the Joy-Con mouse feature could be used for a Mario Kart track editor? The idea of having community-made tracks could be amazing. Well, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that, Jeff.
I mean, yeah, I think that what this should say is that Nintendo will probably have UGC sort of ideas in a lot more games than they would have otherwise. Maybe instead of getting Mario Maker 3, which is what I want, but maybe instead of that, they just sort of take the tools that made that and Game Maker Garage work, and they apply that to more of the games as just a mode in all the stuff they make, so people can just make their own stuff.
Big Fresh 37 says, kind of funny had the idea of skins in Kart. That's why DK looks weird. How about Wedding Bowser, Fireflower Luigi, 8-Bit Mario? Mario Kart Tour kind of did it. Once again, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that is it's pretty likely, I think. I don't know if it'll be like a whole skin market, but why wouldn't Nintendo want more money? So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, now I'm like, okay, so that's like the Donkey Kong movie skin, and maybe that's why it looks like that. And
I think that's just how Donkey Kong looks in this game, personally. Yeah. But yes.
What do you think? It's like some people don't like that. I kind of like him looking like that big beefy boy there. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. My take is I fucking love it. I think he looks awesome. I love this crazy, weird looking bastard of Donkey Kong. Now, it just reminds me of old Donkey Kong. Yeah, I love it.
It's funny because, gosh, like, I don't know, I associate Donkey Kong like with like last looks or new looks happening in games, because the first Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, that was still Donkey Kong Jr. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because that was pre-DKC. Pretty Dude says, not Switch 2 related. How dare you? No, it's fine. Pretty Dude says, not Switch 2 related, but did you see that Bloomberg article about Bluepoint? Yeah, absolutely insane having your revered remaster studio work on games as a service. Do we even see a Bluepoint game this gen now? And that's... well, I mean, we had Demon Souls. Yeah, but I get what you mean. It is kind of wild that there just might not be anything else from them, and nothing from Bend this whole generation.
Because I mean, the other thing I heard is that Bluepoint and Bend found out this news the same time as all the rest of us. So that means they are just going to begin restarting their projects now. And we're talking beginning of 2025. We're thinking a PlayStation 5 by the end of 2028. So
PlayStation 6.
At best,
yeah.
All right, PlayStation 6, thank you. But at best, we're maybe talking about a cross-gen game at that point.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I guess there's always a possibility. Maybe they do make one of these smaller games. But if we were talking about like them showing off their full force, yeah, it's probably going to be 2028.
Oof. B. Traven says, the boring Switch 2 teaser killed David Lynch. With an April Direct, do you think June is the most likely release month now?
Not the most. I just don't think summer just isn't a good time to launch a console like this. It's like you want to. There's times where it's like, hey, people are maybe spring break and they have a little bit of time to get something, but they know they've got school coming up again. I think you just don't want it when people could easily be on summer vacation. They're not thinking about spending time at home on the TV.
Ted Derek says, which of these releasing this year do you believe is a bigger deal to the gaming audience as a whole? GTA 6 or Switch 2? Was just curious about this. I mean, I have my biases. I think it's Switch 2. I think in terms for video game companies, it's definitely Switch 2, because everybody, like most people, have an opportunity to make money there, whereas GTA 6 is just Rockstar. I mean, the Switch 2 sells 100 million consoles, or just like 70 million. I guess that would still be less than maybe GTA 6 sells, huh? I don't know. One game selling so well, even ridiculously well, is that as impactful to an entire audience as a whole console?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I get that GTA 6 will just like be a platform for a lot of people because it'll have the game and it'll have online and it'll have role play. And then there's all those like user generated stuff. Like for a lot of people, it is like Fortnite. It's just the thing they play. I get that. You're right though. Switch 2 is a whole new actual platform that will have surprises that you could never expect. So yeah, I
Like
think
maybe
it's
Grand Theft Auto 6. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bander SN says Mario Kart Horizons, explorable world with handcrafted tracks scattered throughout and a battle royale mode encompassing the whole map. I mean, it's like I don't want to get my hopes up now because this all sounds amazing, but like maybe.
Yeah, I think that's if you are sitting around, you have to make the Mario Kart follow up to 8 Deluxe. If someone mentions this in a meeting, I think it's hard not to like get excited and be like that. Yeah, maybe that is the answer.
Oyasumi Mex says, what would be a fun title for the new Mario Kart? Having them be numbered still feels weird when only the last few have been. As always, love the show. I always respected Mario Kart for going back to numbers. I wouldn't blame them for wanting to do something with the title that maybe conveys this a new direction
Mario
if that's
Kart
what's happening.
World, I don't know.
Yeah, Mario Kart Freedom, something like that. Mario Kart Open, like the open road. Mario Kart
the
Open.
Anti-woke Mario Kart Freedom.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, I'm now particularly to Mario Kart Open. Well, if it's that, there you go.
Fun. That's a good idea. That's like double entendre sort of thing happening there. Yeah, I like that.
Chris Pratt says the Nintendo Switch 2 seems nice, but no mention if Mario Arcade is coming has me concerned.
Oh, buddy, yeah. Listen, the good news is I know this is confusing because Nintendo can be an obtuse company, but it has backward compatibility, and Mario Arcade is on the Switch right now. Buddy, go get it, and you'll be ready to go. There you go, Chris Pratt. Good news for you.
Yeah, you're fine, Chris. On. Louis5468 with their first super chat. Thank you so much. Said, never super chat or watch live, but I'm here just to gloat that I got Mario Kart in your fantasy critic league. I also counterpicked Spoon Heaven, even though I'd really like to play it this year. He tried to say, hey.
Try to say penis and ran out of characters.
I still think that could maybe be a launch game. Jeff is Spoon Heaven, aka Hollow Knight Silk Song.
I mean, if you are making that game and you want to have the best possible launch, launching on Switch 2 is the key to just like instant success. I mean, it's going to be a hit no matter what, but we're talking about massive amounts of money right away if you're on the Switch 2 at launch.
I mean, just think about how well games like Snake Pass or whatever did early on with the first Switch, right? Come on. Imagine if it's actually Silk Song. Hey, I bet you're going to get a lot of points for Mario Kart. Yeah, good call on that one.
Yeah, you're going to be just fine.
Uncharted Wolf says the ideas the Switch mouse inspired is unreal. Kid Icarus Uprising, Mario Maker, Sin and Punishment, Prime 4 and more. I love Nintendo so much. He didn't even bring up Geist.
Yeah, he did not bring up Geist. Well, what about this? Elite Beat Agents. What about Elite Beat Agents? You just got a little cursor on the screen. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
It
could work.
I wonder, is it enough for them to just be like, yeah, we can do DS Virtual Console? Or is that too much?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible that this kind of leads to that. Yeah.
Oh, baby.
I hope so.
Jesse Sackett says, predict the following game releases, windows, and dates. Okay, so one at a time here. Next 3D Mario. I think it's August.
Yeah, I'll say September then.
Yeah. 2, Intergalactic. It's not this year, is it?
Right. No, that's the one because there was a bunch of things in that Keeley that said 2025, and this was not one of them.
Yeah, holiday 2026.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. But I'll go February 2026. Be very optimistic.
Wolverine. Do we think Wolverine is this year?
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say holiday this year.
I'm gonna say summer 2026. Actually.
Yep, that's totally reasonable as well.
GTA 6, I think that's this October.
March of next year.
Oh, you think it gets delayed? Better not be. I have that in the Fantasy Critic.
I think it's March of next year.
Okay, well, we'll see. Next 3D Zelda is the last one here. I mean, that's... Tears of the Kingdom came out 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Last year.
No, wait. Yeah,
last year's 2020. Okay, yeah, it's early 2025. It came out 2023. So yeah, almost 2 years ago. Okay, dang. So there's 7 years between them. So that could be 5 years away. Games are only taking longer to make, Jeff. So 2030, April 2030.
Oh, that made damage to my soul when you said that.
I know it's Like,
They
I
was
mean, he's right
crazy.
though. That's only 5 years away. Like
Oh,
2029 would be an insane thing to say. So yeah, I think I'll say 20. I'm gonna say 2032 because it's gonna keep getting delayed.
Plenty of time for them to finally give us Wind Waker.
Yep. Jesus, that's nuts, man. Okay.
Maybe that's why they held off on Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Someone's like, look, there's going to be an
Yes,
actual drought
maybe.
of Zelda games coming eventually. Just you
Yeah.
wait.
I mean, at the very least, though, I mean, it probably won't take that long because they will want to have Zelda on this console. But boy, yeah, at the very least, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, both very good games that I will be happy to go back to when Nintendo re-releases them to explore those games. So yeah,
You think we ever get to like the mainline, like big 3D Zelda games on one generation again? Granted, we only
think,
kind of this time or last time, right?
Yeah, I think that they will follow this tradition of here's something totally new, and then we're gonna reuse the map and do another sequel to that. But they will probably try to like think about that like as they're making the first game, so it doesn't take 7 years to make the sequel game this time. Yeah.
L. Grug said, I'm most likely going to be out of the country when that April Nintendo Direct happens, so can Jeff tell me if Ridge Racer will be there?
Yeah, it'll be there. That's where it's going to show up.
I was reading some random Reddit thread on our gaming leaks and rumors or something, and somebody brought up like what you said about something with the Switch 2 reveal before it happened, and so I was like, somebody randomly was like, yeah, but what does he have to say about Ridge Racer? And I was like,
Oh,
hell yeah.
no.
Hell yeah.
It's spreading. It's spreading. It's contagious.
Let's go.
Oh no! I did see a like music YouTuber that reacts to music. A bunch of their audience suggested Ridge Racer Type 4, and she reacted to it.
I saw
and
that
then,
video.
And all the comments were like, "It's not just that; it's like inspiring to people to do graphic design. Like there's a whole school of graphic design that is inspired by this game and stuff like that." And yeah, there was just a lot of reverence for it in that video, so it was pretty cool to see.
I have that video on my watch later list. I haven't watched it yet. I've been I'll be excited to do that. Hopefully this weekend. Long weekend. I get Monday off. Isn't that exciting?
Yep. Yeah, Monday off.
Next is El Grug. It says I'm most likely going to be out of the country when that April Nintendo Direct happens. Nope. So that's the one I read. Yep. The Bulletproof Moon says, gotta say, very disappointed that Nintendo didn't announce the Nintendo 65.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I ordered my EverDrive for my my Spice Orange N64 back here. Still not here. Waiting for it.
Wave Crockett says Switch 1 Direct when? Apparently February, maybe. So
apparently, yeah. Well, I mean that makes sense because there was some cross wires there where people were expecting the February Direct to be about the Switch 2, and now it's like, well, no, there's still one coming, so must be focused on Switch 1, and I guess that's maybe the word people are getting now. Yeah, that sounds right to me. I hope because they do have a few things they need to clear up there. They do need to say what's happening with Metroid Prime 4.
Jeff, we have so many super chats. It's been amazing. Thank you all so much. We're like halfway through what we have right now.
Oh, wow. I just scrolled down. I did not realize that. You know what? Yeah, let's take a quick
break. I got to go, cool. Maybe take care of some bathroom stuff.
Let Mikey take care of his business, everybody. We'll be right back after this. Cool. All right, we're on break.
Get out of here.
EverDrives could take a while to ship considering world events. Last time I checked. That's fair. Yeah, I of course I ordered mine, and then like 2 days later, MVG's like, "Hey, this other one is really good, and it's only $50." I'm like, "Son of a bitch! Why didn't you say? Why didn't he know that I bought an N64 and was looking to get one? He should just know me by now." So yeah, I kind of trying not to hold off on buying.
You can't keep up. Well. It's every day something new. Is
every day it's some new way to deal with my midlife crisis. You're right, Christian. Yeah, but Kevin's right. Damn it, MVG. Did I get the analog N64? I did get the analog N64. That's not here yet, though. That'll be coming soon. God, that's supposed to ship in the first part of this year, right? So, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm also just going to reach out to them. Let's just reach out to them. Let's see here. Okay.
That easy, huh?
I mean, there's no guarantee that they'll send it to me, but I did reach out. Let's see here. Analog 3D. I ordered an analog 3D, but would love to get one for review. Yeah, I am very excited about that thing. I love what analog does. I know that there's some people in the scene that are not fans of like how they treat FPGA stuff, but there's always scene drama in emulation. So kind of just
You have to. You have to have some drama.
You have to have some
Otherwise, it will
scene
be too
drama.
boring.
Yep, exactly. It keeps people on their toes. So I recognize that, and I also like totally like understand where people are coming from. But I like the work they do, and this thing's gonna have a lot of cool like filters and sort of
Yeah, it
the
looks
scan
cool.
lines you can put on. It looks really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to get one of these.
The
let's see.
degenerates are gonna like, oh, this scan line makes a pixel a little bit blurry, which makes it so the colors blend better, and it gives you a better accuracy thingy or whatever. It's like, all right.
All right,
Now
let's
this,
send this.
everybody has those giant 4K OLED TVs now, so
Right. Yes, and it's like those 4K OLEDs are going to be perfect for that. That's I mean, especially if you get one with a really high refresh rate, like those LGs, that can
gotta get
black frame insertion. It can really look awesome.
yeah. You gotta. It's like you can see the because the thing doesn't let the OLED doesn't let the light go through, brother. It's real dark.
Exactly, it's real dark, which is what you want between the lines.
Yeah.
They make it really bright because it has the HDR, so it can look like the phosphorus. Yeah, I did some messing around with that on when I did have an LG that I was borrowing from LG, and I did that on PC, and it looked fantastic. So yeah, really looking forward to this.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi,
Rachel.
Hi, Kaiser. Hey, Kaiser Laser.
All right, ready, Jeff?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can bring us back in. Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
All right, we got our break in, but we got a lot more super chats to get through. So, and again, thank you, everybody. Keep them coming. We'll answer every single one. But Mike, let's get back into it.
Yeah, Spiky, another first-time super chatter, says between the maybe Campus C button stuff and maybe using Joy-Con as a mouse and the playtest game, is this going to be the Switch all about creating? Yeah, I mean, gosh, especially we talked about that Mario Kart tracks. Hey, when Animal Crossing comes out on this thing, I think the creation suite there is going to be more robust than ever too, right?
Yeah, I think the way that they should convey this is you get a bald man in a blazer and a hoodie to sit crisscross applesauce on the stage. And he says, "My name is Jay Allard, and here is Skater Girl 8 or whatever her name was in that presentation for the Xbox 360. And here's how you can put skateboards into video games." Yeah, they should definitely just do that presentation all over again. I think Nintendo could make this whole concept work where it's like it doesn't feel super corporate-y, it feels weird and odd, and that is kind of the energy you need to make creation stuff feel like it's actually a fun thing you want to engage with. And yeah, I think if Nintendo can just sort of have a bunch of games that have those modes built in, I will be pretty excited. If every game is just also a Mario Maker alongside like being a good game, that sounds like a pretty good generation to me. Yeah, Velocity Girl. Thank you, David.
Alex says, I just finished the Elden Ring DLC, and now I'm at a loss for what to play next. What's a good JRPG I can knock out in under 30 hours?
Vagrant Story.
Vagrant, that's true. Have you played Earthbound? That's pretty good, turns out. I kind of want to try out that remaster of Tales of Grace's F that just came out. I think that's been getting good reviews. If you something a bit more action RPG, but those Tales of games are usually 30 hours ish. I'd be shocked if
Final Fantasy 13. Fuck you, Mike.
I like Final Fantasy 13. What?
All right, we're good.
I defend that game more. I admit it's false. I defend that game more so than most people.
Christian has just been wounded enough times. He just assumes you're going to lash out if he says Final Fantasy 13.
Everybody, yes.
All 13 fans are like this.
Yes, bro. In TikTok, this love for Final Fantasy 13. I didn't know about. There were others like me. I was so happy. It's like all these people. Look how beautiful this game is. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's a beautiful.
It was a very pretty game.
Yeah,
that reminds me of how excited I was to see someone on Blue Sky talking about how they hate numbered generations, and then I saw Mad Piscatella reskeet that, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm back. Let's go. Let's get back into the fight.
You got to take that win after the Fire Escape crew just like had a whole hate fest on Link's Awakening, acting like everyone agrees. It's all. Did you listen to that yet?
I've not. I'm
Oh, you
going
need
to. But boy, I really don't want to. But
Oh, you have to.
I will.
My
I
favorite
know I
part
have
was
to.
Mike Mahardy saying like, "Oh yeah, I used to like that game, but that was just because I was a pretentious snob."
Oh my
Or
god! I
something
want to
like
throttle
that.
these people. It's maybe the worst video game podcast. I think it is. Yeah.
Wow. Oh no way. How Mary sent me chicken sauce. So we're cool.
Ugh.
Super Harmon says, "Mike, I'm playing Crimson Skies. It's great. It sure is. They should make another one of those. That's for sure."
Can we just play that online, or do we have to do anything funky? We probably have to do something funky.
I don't know.
Huh?
That's a good question. It definitely has,
No.
backwards compatibility and stuff. I don't know how you just play it
Okay.
online. That'd be fun,
If
though.
we have to, maybe we could parsec that. That would be a fun one.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a launch game I want is Rogue Squadron 4, but I don't think that's going to happen. But boy, that would be amazing.
That would rule. Just bring back Factor 5. Yeah.
Yeah, just bring them back. Come on, what are they doing?
I mean, I tell you what they did on the Switch was they made the Hulu app. That's the people that worked at Factor 5
Wow.
went on to like make apps for the Switch.
Yeah, okay, so they're out there. Willow Davis says, Game Mess is my favorite mukbang. Thank you, Willow Davis.
Look, everybody, I'm sorry. All right, I conflated mukbang and PC bang.
Happens.
That's just because I'm a dumb man.
Ali Miracle says there's a marker board somewhere in Nintendo R&D with Switch E crossed out. Yeah, I would love to see the short list, right? Because they had to at least they have to go through process. They have to vet and market test other names a little bit, right?
Yeah, I bet they're not the kind of company that pays an outside marketing firm to give them a bunch of ideas. But you're right, they definitely internally had a ton.
Chris Pratt with a spicy one here saying, well, actually, it's Mario Kart 10. The same as it should have been Super Switch.
Look,
Jeff's right. I'm sorry, Jeff's right.
yeah, I'm not the one that says it. Nintendo says it. All right, the Mario Kart Tour is Mario Kart 9 according to them. They're crazy, but that's what they say.
Screaming Man says, I beat Sly 2 on Tuesday. It was awesome, and here's 2 reasons why to play it. 1, Peter McConnell composed the OC. Oh, and 2, you get to dance with Carmelita Fox. I definitely want to play these games at some point this year. It's on my to-do list.
I haven't seen Carmelita Fox, but I'm just going to say it's sight unseen. Would.
Yeah. I'm very excited I get to be one of the obnoxious Earthbound people now, and I would love to have that with Sly also. Seems fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sly's one that I always have hovering or that's what I should play. I think I have it ready to go on the Steam Deck. I should just start it up. Make it my January game.
Jonathan Orr says, is any of Nintendo's supply chain in the U.S.? Could tariffs affect the price in Canada?
So a couple things. Really, mostly the supply chains in Mexico. But I do imagine that some stuff comes through the United States and then goes to Canada. But because tariffs have been around for a while, they try to avoid that where they can. They probably just try to ship it directly to Canada where possible. But bad news, Jonathan. You guys already pay a lot of money for a lot of extra for your stuff there. So that'll continue whether the tariffs hit you or not.
Next up, Music with Friends says, Mike, I'm going to Disney World tomorrow for the first time since 2000. The only things on my have-to list are the People Mover and Muppet Vision 3D. Let's fucking go. Man, those are the 2 correct ones there. Hey, but if you find yourself in Animal Kingdom, definitely go to the Nomad Lounge too, if you can. Hey, hope you have a lot of fun Music with Friends. I'm jealous.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Garwalk says, but how HD is the Rumble in the new Joy-Cons? 4K Rumble?
Yeah, I mean they'll probably just have exactly what they had in the Switch because that worked fine, and there will be a lot of developers who maybe just take the stuff that they had for the PlayStation's pretty good haptics and apply that to the Joy-Cons.
Man, I remember a few years ago I was terrified that they would try to make the console very 4K focused no matter what, because that was that was the one thing all the TVs were still trying to do to get people to upgrade 4K this, 4K that. I was worried the new Switch would just be called the Switch 4K.
Right.
Yeah, that's clearly not a giant emphasis on this thing, at least so far.
Yeah, I think they know they've already kind of missed the window on that being the marketing push, and really it's not Nintendo to go that way anyhow. Even though they did HD Rumble, right?
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Johnny Boy says, Grubb, are you worried of losing your Leaker of the Year crown to Nate this year?
No, he's earned it. I think shout outs to him for coming out and saying, like, again, we mentioned a lot of people had heard this, but he was confident. He knew what he was talking about.
He put his
and
neck on the line for it.
Put his neck on the line and then stood his ground. I was very impressed. And Nate's always known what he's talked about.
Right.
He knew what he was talking about back when like Switch Pro was his thing. All that stuff was true. It just Nintendo changed their plans and people gave him a hard time for that. But the whole time it was like, what he's saying is accurate. I don't get why you people don't understand that.
Right. Yeah, and there were some people that were ready to, like, they wanted his head yesterday because they didn't announce the announcement, something that he never said was going to happen. So yeah, it is nice to see, though, like in a lot of the threads, Jeff, even like before it happened, like you can't trust him because he said Wind Waker HD was going to come to Switch in 2021. I'm like, hell yeah, not just us, people holding that one over their heads still. Man.
It's a lot of us got in the crossfires of Nintendo being weird about Zelda.
Yep.
Hey, not gonna lie, beside the Joy-Con change and that kind of stuff, this kind of feels like a Switch Pro.
This is clearly the Switch Pro, just a little bit more. It's 100%. They took the Switch Pro and they're like, let's just add a few more things to it, take a little bit more time, go back and work with NVIDIA a little bit more, and just release this as the Switch 2 a little bit later. That is exactly what happened.
Pixels and Thoughts, member for 5 years in the link, it's here. Thank you. Said, think Amiibos make it to Switch 2. And they didn't talk about that very much, huh?
I bet they just have an NFC reader in the one of the Joy-Con thumbsticks. Yeah, probably.
Clearly not going to be as important as they were around the time the original Switch launched, which is too bad. I like Amiibos.
Yeah, I'm fine with Amiibos. I don't want to use them in a race against my friends, but yeah.
That was insane that he was like, no, obviously...
He's a crazy person.
Obviously, we should get to use the Bowser amiibo to skip the major gameplay mechanic of Bowser's Fury. Like, what are you talking about?
They put that in there for kids, Dan. Come on.
Hey, this is the guy who, like, when talked about how much he liked the Uncrustables for whole podcast, and nobody had the heart to be like, that is the ultimate just kids food. Nothing wrong with the Uncrustables. It's fine. Chrono Rig says, I think the fact they gave us the actual date of the Switch 2 Direct is great. Now we don't have to be guessing or depending on rumors. It is great. I did like all the people who thought it was going to be on February 4th because of, European date stuff and whatnot. But
yeah. Yeah, didn't they just straight up say April in the video? It just spelled out April.
I think it said 4/2. So I think
it said 4/2.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Europeans.
Maybe a mistake on their part. Don't do that next time.
Yep.
Don't say European. Say I'm sorry, the entire world minus us, because that's how it works. It's just you. Don't say it's just Europe, okay?
Yeah, but how do you say it? Like,
sorry, the rest of the world. We're idiots. We don't know how to do dates.
What is today's date, Christian?
Huh?
What's today's date?
What is? It's 17. January 2025. Yeah, see that we're talking English, motherfucker.
January 16th, 2025. So yeah.
You had
fine.
Never mind. All right.
I will give you that one, but you have to give me that the imperial system is better than the metric system.
No. You can't have the day. You can't have the day.
All right, fine. There, I knew that would work.
Adam Pasil says Pikmin Warriors confirmed. We'll probably get at least one more of these random Nintendo Warriors games, right?
Yeah, it would own if it was that weird Mario one we heard a while back, which was, of course, like just heard, like bouncing around as one of those weird rumors, not heard from like someone at Nintendo. That would own. I still want that. But yeah, I think you're right. We probably get one more of these weird ones.
Hitch says, Jeff, please tell me I'll be able to play Gears on PC and a Master Chief Collection type collection soon/ever. How does Xbox not know this is a no-brainer to hype up Emergence Day?
Yeah, I mean, they probably do. That's Nick. Special Nick is the Gears rumor. He still thinks that's going to happen, and why wouldn't it be right before E-Day comes out? I think that sounds right to me. I think it probably comes to PlayStation even, let alone PC. And then Master Chief Collection, we've heard that's coming to apparently Switch. So why wouldn't that come to everything else?
Rogers OG says, "Where's Wind Waker, Jeff?" Parentheses, cheers you two. Heart. Thank you, Rogers.
I think Mike nailed it. Where it's like we start talking about when's the next Zelda after this stuff, after Echoes of Wisdom, and you realize there's going to be a several year gap, and you want to fill that in with something. Why not this?
The bad news is for the next couple years, you might have Breath of the Wild 60 FPS, and then Tears of the Kingdom 60 FPS to fill those gaps. So it might not be imminent, but it could be. It could be.
Yeah, I hope so.
I bet at some point on the Switch 2's life, Wind Waker will be on there. They did just add the soundtrack on the Nintendo Music. That doesn't mean anything, but hey, they did. They remember that game exists. Garwalk says, Switch 2 exclusive, Pura focused Tears of the Kingdom DLC at launch. Give us what we want, Nintendo. Jeff, I heard that you're something of a Pura fan, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how people figured that out. I try to keep it on. I keep it on the down low. I keep it pretty quiet. Yeah, no, I would love this. Absolutely.
Big Jimbo Ryan says, stop canceling projects I greenlit. My legacy. Sad face. You're the Big Jim Ryan fan, Jeff. You know he's become a bit of a kind of punching bag for this. You think that's fair?
It's a little unfair because, look, I will. People are right to point out that he got out while the getting is good. I've definitely said that a million times, and I feel that way. Where it's like he saw where everything was going, realized it was going to be really tough and probably not work, and got out while it was like PlayStation 5 on top of the world. All these games winning Game of the Year. Peace. Good luck with all the live service games. So yeah, he did that, but it's not like he was there alone on a throne deciding what PlayStation would be doing going forward. He should take responsibility for a lot of it, but a lot of people thought live service was the answer across that company, up and down, left and right. The people that make the games, they're like, I think this is what they want us to pitch them. So they pitch that, and then it goes through Herman Hulst, goes through all these people, gets up to Jim Ryan eventually, and Jim Ryan hears the plan, right? Someone presents to him the plan, and then he gives a thumbs up to that. But the plan was probably made by a lot of other people. So it's a little unfair, but hey, he was getting paid the big bucks. So if people want to treat him as a punching bag, he's retired in London, fucking around now. So yeah, go ahead, go to town, have fun.
I mean, you said this earlier. But like nobody knows. Nobody's been right. Xbox was all in on Game Pass. Well, that didn't work out necessarily. Right? All the people who were on the freaking blockchain train a bit ago, and whatever other trains there are. Turns out the only thing that has worked is be lucky and happen to make a giant hit, and then you'll be good.
Or be
Nintendo.
Or be back in 2011 when all these things were popping off and you could just pick off the shelf. Okay, we're going to have the Battle Pass. We're going to have Battle Royale. We're going to have this. And if you were in that situation, you had awesome growth for 10 years straight. And now we're on the other side of that. And everyone's looking for the next thing. And it's just not like falling down in front of them like it once was. Like Epic Games just had Battle Royale fall right in front of them. Yeah. And they picked it up and are like, this is mine. And now they're one of those successful gaming companies in the history of the world, and that just doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, everyone's go ahead.
To be fair, it was more like they saw PUBG and they were like, "Gimme that mine."
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like PUBG fell because PUBG was like going to them and like, "Hey, we need help with your engine to make this work," and they're like, interesting. And they're not the only company that had that sort of thing happen. It was left and right. Everyone was like looking at mobile and being like, oh my God, look at all those live service ideas we could just take. And everyone took it. And now all that stuff is sort of tapped out and no one knows what the next thing is. And it's kind of causing a problem across the industry.
Yeah. It'll be those AI games we're going to get any moment now, whatever that means.
Any second now. Yeah.
Bobby Downey says, Jeff, please beat Baldur's Gate 3 so Mike gets a Pog Slammer tattoo. Stream it and roleplay as yourself like you got isekai'd into D&D.
I do want to like stream that game, playing it. Yes. Can I stream it solo, Mike? Like if I were to stream it solo every week on Giant Bomb, would that count, or did we say I have to beat it with Jan?
No, I never worried too much about the Jan thing. Just you have to beat Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay. All right. So I will try to figure out a way to make that happen. There are some changes happening to like our stream structure, Giant Bomb, where maybe that might make more sense. Although there is some wind behind the sails of maybe doing a regular check-in on multiplayer Stardew Valley. So if that happens, maybe that kind of takes up some time. We'll see. I want to do this.
Chris Pratt says Sony thinks the C button means canceling games. Crying Levium. Got him. Chris Pratt's spicy today.
Yeah, he is on one.
Fire.
He is out of pocket.
Going absolutely crazy there, Chris San. Tyrant with no comment, but super chat. Thank you so much, Tyrant.
Thank you, Tyrant.
Fahogwa God says you guys should watch Real Housewives. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I'll do it. Steph's been putting on the RuPaul's Drag Race, and then RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked a lot, and by that I mean I've been watching a lot of this because I want to watch it too, and they go very hard on that show when I like, here's the behind the scenes episode. That's what Untucked is. And I'm just like, oh man, I love this bullshit. I love when people are just so sassy to one another. So if that's what Real Housewives is like, yeah, I'll be into it.
I forget if I talked to you about this. Dan, after you left, I think, Extra Life showed us the Onion's parody of reality TV called Sex House.
He's mentioned this to me before, and I don't think I've.
It's very funny. I think everybody should watch Sex House by the Onion.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Yeah.
Hitch says Demon Souls got to be coming to PC this year, right?
Well, that's a good point. I hope so. That would be awesome. Shit, man. If it ran on Steam Deck, I would play the hell out of that.
Benji Bob says, you got to think when Nintendo doesn't make a Joy-Con 1 rail to magnet adapter, that some third party is going to rake in money making one, right?
I mean, I guess they could make an adapter. Why couldn't they? I don't know. I guess. I don't think they rake in money, though. I think people like to buy new stuff, even though it really sucks to buy new stuff in a lot of ways. People get excited about the new shiny thing, and they will be happy to start their Joy-Con collection over again, as you know, as sick as that is.
Brian Corliss says, is the secret Xbox game reveal probably Dragon Quest 12? Could they even pull that? Do you guys have a more educated guess? Love you, dearies. Somewhere I was guessing Resident Evil, maybe. But Dragon Quest 12, sure.
Yeah, I think we talked about this on the Bombcast, and you said Resident Evil. We brought up Dragon Quest 12, and I think that is like on the tier list, but I think that's like in the B tier in terms of possibility. I think the most likely ones, well, what did I say? It was Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania. Those are the ones I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, but there's a lot of classic Japanese video game franchises that go back
it could
decades.
Be a new Tales of game. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Dat Boy says, what about Mario Kart 24? Since there seem to be 24 starting lines in the teaser. That's 40 less than Mario Kart 64, though.
Yeah, like Le Mans. Yeah, like it could be a 24-hour open world race. Yeah, we talked about that. That'd be great.
Oh, Beatrice says, sorry for my chat regarding Lich. Sounded more rude than intended. I love him, though. He was a dark dude. Good for Jeff for doubling down about release last night. Oh, it's probably the way I read it, Beatrice. It's probably my fault. I made it sound flippant. Not your bad.
Yeah, we knew what you were getting at. No problem there. Yeah, it was I definitely was like, I made the joke about, because my daughter's 8th birthday was yesterday, and we're kind of just doing something small during the week. So I took her to the McDonald's play place, and I was in there. I'm like joking, I'm in here, and some kids are talking shit about Nate the Hate. And I told them to like, hey, it's not even Thursday, so quit being stupid, sexist shit. And I was just kind of like joking around, not thinking that it would sound like I was like doubling down. But then when people brought that up, I was like, you know what? If you're asking me if I'm doubling down now, I would say yes. But then I'm like, okay, I think I even tweeted that or skeeted that for a second, and I deleted it because I don't want to be in a situation where I am making a joke and people assume I'm doing that, and then I get to another situation where it's like, no, I clearly was joking. Why do you people think that? And that's where I always get in trouble in the past and like have frustrating situations. So I want to make it clear, when I made that joke, I was not actually doubling down. Even though later I was like, I wish I would have been more clear that, yeah, sure, yeah, I do think this is still happening.
I mean, we were pretty clear on Lessons to Doug's. We were pretty confident. We were not making promises, but we were feeling pretty good.
Yep, it's just what I had heard. Yep, absolutely. Sounds like he doubled down. Yeah. In hindsight, it's like, yeah, I should have. Yeah.
Next up is DDLYVNM, who says, I want WarioWare to make use of the Switch 2 mice. I mean, if anything's going to, you think it would be a WarioWare game, right?
I think he said he wants to use 2 mice at the same time.
Oh, make me use 2 mice. Oh,
right. There's that. I've been playing WarioWare Twisted. There's that game where like you have to like block things with the 2 hands. You can like see that like being a kind of thing. Yeah.
Even better, Jeff. King of Swing.
Yeah. Oh my God. King of Swing with 2 mice. Yeah. Let's do it.
Symbiosis says, did Switch 2 ever get a sick code name like Dolphin? It must have had one. Or do you think
Switch Pro?
Yeah. I mean, they probably just immediately just started calling it the Switch 2, right?
Probably. Yeah. Honestly, you're probably right.
Adam Steed says, just saw mouse Joy-Con mode may be paired with Kid Icarus Uprising HD. Thoughts? Someone else brought that up. Makes sense.
I've not really played Icarus Uprising, so I guess like I know
use the
like
stylus, at all times, so you could just use kind of
shit. Okay, yeah,
like
let's do it.
Third-person shooter controls instead.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Uncharted Wolf says, I haven't heard people make this prediction yet, but I think Luigi Mansion 3 is ready for October. Next Level takes 3 years between
4,
releases.
probably,
I
yeah.
assume they meant 4. Uh, maybe. Boy, I think that would be a good year 2 game, Jeff.
Yeah, I think so. I think you get through this holiday, and then you get ready to release that pretty close to next October.
Again, especially because we're not going to have a new Legend of Zelda game for probably a very long time, right? So I think you need Luigi's Mansion to straight up anchor a year, just like how it surprisingly did anchor a year for the original Switch.
Yeah, I think people will be very excited about that. Next Level probably will go all out for this one because they will have a lot of faith from Nintendo and probably a bigger budget and more time. So yeah, would love to see it.
Dcash says, "Is this the Need for Speed the Run of Mario Kart? It's got a lot of quick time events."
I hope so.
We should play Need for Speed the Run.
We should. That's a good idea. That's the dream, though, is a Mario Kart like the Run. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we've always wanted. Burrito says, "Guys, do you think that the Switch 2's name/design and packaging may be confusing for uninitiated parents or relatives of gamers' kids?" Not a super serious question. Just wanted to super chat. Thank you, Burrito, so much. No, I think I bet the 2 will somehow be even bigger than we imagine on the box.
Yeah. Yeah, and yet someone will still be confused. Yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody's still gonna get like a Switch OLED or something. Someone's gonna find a Nintendo 2DS and get that.
Do you think it's like people were like confused by the Wii U, or they just lacked enthusiasm because Nintendo just didn't position it as something that was as important as a full new console, even though it was?
I think maybe the confusion angle gets a little overplayed. I think it just wasn't that appealing of a console.
I think that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of people confused about what it was in terms of like more so than the name. That initial reveal, they didn't show the console because they just showed the tablet, and a lot of people thought, "Oh, this is a tablet for the Wii." That was
and they
the
didn't
problem.
like show the console for a significant chunk of time after that either, right? So yeah, it was a weird thing.
Next up is White Lens. First super chat. Thank you, White Lens. It's good to see that MiHoYo can finally make good on that Genshin Impact Switch trailer they put out 5 years ago, right?
They probably will. That might be a launch game. Shit, all those games from MiHoYo might be. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Edgar Marino says, "Make the Pog Slammer shirt so I can bring it to Evo."
I'll check in with Jan on the status of that art. Yeah.
God, I kind of, especially since Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is going to be on the main stage at Evo. Boy, would I like to. I maybe would like to be there this year. Oh, I like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I've been playing that. Like that's what I was kind of like playing that on my Switch to kill time until Donkey Kong Country Returns came out. Like literally trying to stop myself from starting another JRPG. Right? I could shoot myself with that after I beat Donkey Kong Country.
There you go.
Yeah, but Marvel is fun stuff. That is it for Super Chats for now. If you all still want to get one in here before we finish the show, we will still read it on the air. But thank you all so much for that absolute deluge of super chatting. Really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's take another quick break. We'll come back, and we probably will just talk about what we've been playing.
Yeah, I will say I don't think figuring out the Mount Rushmore Switch games would take very long, but we don't have to do it.
All right, let's take a break, and then we'll come back and see.
We'll figure it. We'll talk it out.
All right.
Break. So my argument to skip the Mount Rushmore is to save it for Nintendogs. We do the next week for Nintendogs, and then the other week we do like top 100. We do like a special.
Yeah. Well, it would technically be mailbag
Switch
time
games.
this week for Nintendogs.
This week, we'll do all right. We'll do mailbag, and
let's do
then
it now.
next week
Let's do it. Let's do it
all right,
on
let's
this
do it now.
episode,
All
and
right.
then we'll do mailbag, and then we'll do the week after that. We'll start the process of the
I don't
top
want
100, whatever that.
I don't want
looks
people
like.
to think
I've
like,
been
oh,
outvoted, people.
I don't want people to think like, oh, we gave them too many super chats. They have to cut content, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, don't feel that way, everybody, because that's silly. But yeah, the mic's right. Okay, let's come back.
All right.
All right, we're back, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Our game this week is a Mount Rushmore, and that is going to be the Mount Rushmore of Nintendo Switch video games. Console is wrapping up. Metroid Prime 4 will it'll be what it will be. I think even when we get to that game and it comes out, it being a Mount Rushmore, just because it'll be so soon, we'll revisit in the future. I think we could do this now, though, Mike. where do you want to start? And I guess we should always say picking 4 games that are emblematic of the topic, not necessarily the best, not necessarily the most popular, most famous, but emblematic in the way that the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore are emblematic of America and presidents.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not gonna get a doc ready, but I got some sticky notes here, so I will be keeping track of it that way, and I'll show everybody.
That's like an analog.
That's analog Google Sheets. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should start with a game called Breath of the Wild.
I think that's not an insane take for once. Yeah. Probably put Breath of the Wild, maybe even lock it.
Yeah. I think that this game is actually somehow not given enough credit. I think it's the game that canonized Nintendo. Right? Like before this, right? We were like, oh, Nintendo's slipping. Who knows what's going to happen to them? And now Nintendo is an institution that feels like it's never going away. And part of that is the Switch in general, but it was Breath of the Wild that gave Switch that kickstart that got everybody really excited, that made it seem like this must-have thing because you had to have the must-play game.
Yeah, I don't think you're even overstating things because it's I think there was a sense leading up to the Switch that Nintendo had Miyamoto make a handful of games, and then the company was riding those formulas over and over and over again into the ground, and they were never going to be able to replicate that ever. And then you're right, Breath of the Wild came out, and what it's made a statement that Nintendo is the one big major publisher that can take one of its darlings and do something that feels very new and very essential. And it's a game that, like, a lot of developers go and they play Hades and they're like, oh, we have to make our game like Hades. And those ideas do come from indie games a lot of times. Breath of the Wild was the same exact thing, but on an even bigger scale, where every developer played Breath of the Wild and it inspired them to make their changes to the games that they were working on going forward, to the point where it's like Naughty Dog is talking about wanting to make games more like Breath of the Wild after The Last of Us Part 2. That's how influential it is. So you're right. I think before that, Nintendo felt like, hey, they were riding the coattails of Miyamoto. After that, it's like, oh no, this is a Disney-like company that is going to attract people who want to make the next big thing. And
I like Tears of the Kingdom a little bit more, and other people like Breath of the Wild more. That's all fine, but Breath of the Wild clearly the more important one.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. But one of the most important games of all time. Yeah. Just is.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. What would you suggest?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obvious, and that maybe makes it a little bit weird, but no, it's Super Mario Odyssey. I know that they're bang in 2017, but that's just how it goes a lot of times. The console gets defined in its first year, and I do think that's the case here, where those two games defined the Switch as like, hey, we're going to have a traditional 3D Mario that's going to have a ton of awesome ideas, just like Odyssey, but it's going to have maybe a play style a little bit more like a playground, like Mario 64. Just go out there and have fun. And it's awesome. It's a very good game, and just endlessly creative.
Yeah, I can't imagine it not being a lock. Also, a time where there's already so many good 3D Mario games, like, well, this is just clearly the best one. The creativity was astounding. The freedom. I love that they kind of made it more complicated in ways. There is so much movement tech in that game, and it's 99% of it is deliberate, and it's so much fun finding all these different crannies. I love the idea of having 1,000 moons just about, right? There's a ton of them. You're going to get one for sitting on a bench. Instead, you're going to get one for this platforming challenge, but there's so many different ways of going about it. It's a great game to beat. It's a great game to 100%. I love all the costumes. It's very pretty. I love just how wacky they got with the worlds in that game. Like, there's Mario is the video game franchise, and to me, this is now the Mario game.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. Those two are locks. So we're kind of figuring out some 2 other games to go on here. Maybe we should get a little bit more outside the box, but I want to hear what you think.
Yeah. I think that Animal Crossing New Horizon probably has to be considered pretty strongly in terms of Mount Rushmore, because that was like the kind of mid-gen super kick in the butt to take the Switch from being like a surprisingly very successful thing to being monstrously successful.
Right, and I think, like, what is the alternative game that kind of fills that same slot of, like, massive broad appeal, just sold, and it's Mario Kart, but it's Mario Kart 8, which was a Wii U game, which I think gives the edge to Animal Crossing as being iconic on the Switch. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, so let's not lock it maybe yet because we
Yeah.
might have some other ones to consider, but I
Yeah,
put a little
throw a
question
handful
mark
on
there.
there. Yeah, absolutely. I think I would. I Here's where we kind of got to maybe get a Roosevelt in, and I maybe one game that's not actually from Nintendo,
Hmm.
and I do think that game is Hades.
Hades could make it.
I think Hades is the kind of game where it's like that game launched in 1.0 on Switch, and it sort of showed the path for indie games to go from being like, yeah, we're on Switch as well, and we're there, we're successful, to like being like, oh, this was a mega hit on the Switch, to the point where Nintendo noticed and kind of picked it up and adopted it and said, this is, one of the games that we say is important, and everyone got on board, and it played great on Switch. They sort of made sure that it was a game that could run really well on that system. And yeah, it was a great way to play that thing. That is how I played Hades. And I think a lot of people, I think the majority of people played Hades on a Switch.
You might be right, but there might also be a Roosevelt within Nintendo's ranks in a sort of different way. And
Yeah.
that's Luigi's Mansion 3, right?
I mean, this is a massively popular game.
And just such a giant boost over what that series had ever done before, right? Like we talk about the Switch glow up that franchise we're getting. A lot of them, I don't know if any of them had a bigger glow up than Luigi's Mansion, which, went from like getting, 7s to low 8s to being one of their big games for that year. And to this day, one of the best games on the platform, and maybe the prettiest game on the platform. That game looks so good and animates so well.
I think it's the best animated game ever made. Yeah. I do think that. And that's from a studio that is well known for that, did great stuff with Punch-Out on Wii. So they have a long history of that, and they were just able to stretch their legs with that, with Luigi's Mansion 3, and made one of the best looking games of all time because of that animation. So it definitely needs to be on the short list. I'm like looking around. How do you feel? How do you feel about Smash Brothers?
I love Smash Brothers, right? I play the heck
Right.
out of Smash Brothers. It was one of the best selling games on there. Might be the best Smash Brothers ever. I don't know if it needs to be on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Smash Brothers is a Mount Rushmore of Nintendo franchises.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily speak to the Switch part of it to me. Like its story did not change because of the Switch. Smash Brothers did what Smash Brothers does.
Like, I like Smash Bros. More than Mario Kart. I'd be more inclined to put Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on here, which sold like so much. Maybe just gets in there like anyways, and it was so important to the Switch.
Just brute forces its way. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of just brute forces the way on there because of that. So yeah, Mario Kart should be on the short list. Although I do think that's an Animal Crossing spot personally.
Yeah, I can see
that. How about Metroid Dread?
Ooh, there might be a reach problem with that a
Yes.
bit, but that's a quality thing. You ask me like, hey, what are my 4 favorite Nintendo Switch games? I think Dread makes it in, perhaps. Mount Rushmore is a harder argument for that game. Boy, do I love it. There's being. I don't even like to say niche, right? It still sold like 3 million copies. I think but in terms of the Mount Rushmore, like an emblematic Switch game, is that the game that's coming into a lot of people's mind when I say Switch? I don't know.
Yep, I think you're probably right about that. All right, let me see. Did we get some podcast producers?
Oh, do we have podcast producers on this one?
No, we do not. Have
No worries about that. There are people suggesting things in chat. Someone didn't mention Ring Fit Adventure. I get that, but that feels like it was a huge success, made a ton of money for Nintendo. Still feels like a redux of what happened with Wii Fit.
Pikmin 4.
Yeah, God, Pikmin 4 is
so good.
It's so good. It's a really good game. I don't know because when I think of Pikmin, I think of the GameCube games and it being emblematic of GameCube and not necessarily of the Switch. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel about it.
They made a fantastic Pikmin game, probably the best one ever, but yeah.
It is the best one. Yeah, and it's a game that, like, if you give me, hey, I got a Switch, give me a list of 10 games I have to play, Pikmin 4 is on there and bolded, but I don't know if it's Mount Rushmore.
Okay, here's another one that I see from chat, from Jesse. Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Yeah. For me, it's like my gut reaction there is like Fire Emblem Awakening. I think is almost a Mount Rushmore on 3DS. So we probably have to have that conversation.
That's what I thought too.
And it doesn't feel the same. This doesn't feel the same as that does for the 3DS.
Right?
Does that make sense?
Yes. No. That's what I was going to say. Like Fire Emblem Awakening would absolutely be on the 3DS Mount Rushmore.
Right. And this doesn't feel as much of a lock as that does. So I'm hesitant about it.
Yeah. I don't think it's as important to the Switch as Awakening was to the 3DS. What about the Splatoon games?
Yeah, it kind of, maybe that's like, oh, well, that, Splatoon, same thing. Splatoon was like a Wii U defined thing, and then it had amazing life on the Switch, and it was massive, and it became even more popular on the Switch. It is iconic in Japan now because of what it did on the Switch. And I don't want to dismiss that, so I think it should probably be considered. But I personally don't think it's going to make our Mount Rushmore.
Maybe with a bit better online support stuff on the Switch, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think if Splatoon 3 had like gone a bit bigger in terms of like, here are the changes we're making. Here's like a maybe even a more traditional campaign alongside of the awesome campaign stuff that we do have here. Yeah. But for me, it's probably not going to make it.
How about hentai golf?
Yes.
Seriously,
That's number one.
I feel like there was a time you would have suggested Golf Story, but like Sports Story was so bad, it's kind of almost poisoned the well a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but no. For me, Hades represents like the story of indie games on Switch, which is why I think Hades should make it on there. But we're still going to have that conversation. It's like, of all of the indie games that sort of represented what indie games meant to the Switch, that goes to Hades and not Golf Story. There's a handful of other things that maybe should be in that, like Dead Cells, very similar, but no, Hades was even bigger.
I know there's a lot of successful Pokemon games for the Switch. I don't think any of
Legends
those.
Arceus is, I think, the most emblematic of like Pokemon on Switch, and that is not going to make the
right. A lot of people try saying Hollow Knight. I like Hollow Knight a lot, but that was already a hit even before it came to Switch.
Right.
Switch helped gave it a much bigger audience for sure. But
very, very similar trajectory to a lot of other indie games. Again, I would put Hades first.
Let me tell you what I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are locks.
Yep.
I think Animal Crossing New Horizon is kind of a lock as well. Perhaps.
I think so.
And then,
I think so. It hit too hard and was I think defining for the Switch in its life.
And so then, if we want that kind of indie non-Nintendo thing taking the 4 slot, Hades, or we could do Luigi's Mansion as like the kind of franchise that had the big glow up, or we could do Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as just the brute force system seller game mover.
Yeah. I mean, it is probably Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, honestly. But part of me is just like, that was a Wii U game. But at this point, it's not. At this point, it is a Switch
And Breath of the Wild's
so.
a Wii U game too, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, people are mentioning Celeste as well, and I think Celeste absolutely. But again,
doesn't reach
the Hades.
Doesn't reach quite as much as Hades. And, I loved Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I'm so glad they made that game. But just compared to like the stature of some games we're talking about here, I think it's rough.
You said it was Mario Kart, Hades. What was the other one?
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Luigi's Mansion. Oh yeah, God.
Yeah, I like all three of those. I mean, it doesn't have to be Animal Crossing, I guess. It could be any of those 4, but I feel like Animal Crossing just...
I think Animal Crossing's, it's the story, its story and what it meant to the Switch. I think probably does make it a lock. I think you're right. I think if the list is Zelda, Mario, Animal Crossing, and Mario Kart, that's probably correct.
That's the least controversial list, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the least controversial. At that point, people will be like, well, of course, my darling couldn't make it because which one do you take down for? Which one do you replace? It's kind of hard to argue against. It's not the most interesting, but it's probably correct. I don't know how you want to go from there.
I think you're probably right. Like Hades almost moves me. It is on other things. A lot of people did play it on Steam. Right? Like if you say Hades, I don't know if everybody's immediately going Switch. I kind of do.
I do. I mean, because 1.0 launched on Switch. It launched on Steam at the same time. Yeah, but it's like the only console it launched on was Switch, and there was a reason for that, and it was a massive hit because of that. But yeah, I'm willing to be like, that's important, and it's probably, to me, if it's not going to make it, it's number 5. But we don't do 5, so I think we can cut it, and I think it's probably Mario Kart, and I think it's a boring list, but I think that's why you knew it would be a pretty quick conversation, because the Switch has a pretty definitive Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it should be, right? So
yep, that's how it shakes out sometimes.
Yep. So I think our list would be for the Mount Rushmore Nintendo Switch game, Switch 1, I should specify, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
And can you take a picture of your phone of that sticky note and post it to social media for us.
Okay, we mount. Yes, I will
Get
look
it.
in that. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Keep that for us. Thank you very much. All right. So while Mike does that, let's just get into what we've
Yeah.
been playing, and then we can wrap up. I've been spending a little bit more time with Caves of Cud, but I've been trying a few other things as well. Kind of still bouncing around a few things. Also, still helping the kids with Tears of the Kingdom. I played quite a bit of that last night to Emmy is now playing it in such a way where she wants to make friends with the she calls them gremlins and goblins. Very cute.
Good.
But like the moblins and the bokoblins and stuff like that. And she was going up to them trying to be friends. And of course, they just attack her right away. I'm like, hey, there's a mask you can get where they will think you're one of them. And she said, well, you have to get that for me right now. And it was her birthday. So I sat down and I spent a good amount of time tracking down those monster brothers that will give you the mask. And thankfully, the first mask they give you when you first like meet them and unlock it is the bokoblin mask, I think. And she got that on, and now she is going out and just finding groups of these guys and hanging out with them and telling her own stories. I adore the way that kids play video games. It is so interesting. They're just kind of having little sandbox things, doing their own thing. You can hear her kind of like in her tiny little squeaky voice telling little stories of the characters going back and forth and doing various things. And I just get warm feelings about it. So whenever she wants to do something like that in her game, I'm always jumping at the chance to sort of enable it and empower it. And again, like I mentioned on Nintendogs, this is an excellent way to continue playing a game that I always want to be playing, Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, oh, cool. I don't have to try to okay, I'm going to sit down and replay Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, here is just a 30 to 45 minute blast of gameplay to help someone achieve something. So I have a clear goal. I know what I'm doing, and I just love it. So yeah, it's been a very good experience.
I am feeling a hankering to play those games again and again. I feel confident there's going to be some reason to play them on the Switch too. So I'm going to.
I mean, the rumor was that they were the way they were showing off the Switch 2 to partners was with Breath of the Wild running at 60 frames per second with some improvements. That's probably not just something that they're going to have as a demo to show developers.
No, right? Yeah, they did that work for a reason. I did start Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, streaming that right before this. I never played the original game all that much, Jeff. I think even at that point, I wasn't using my Wii a ton. I remember being somewhat bitter about Nintendo like just making a bunch of 2D games again. Not that I have any problem with 2D games again, but it was like, oh, they're kind of getting unambitious here, right? Like,
I mean, especially because what was the other options at that time? Is like PC gaming was hitting hard, and then Xbox 360 was having this online revolution where every Call of Duty 4 comes out and takes over the world, and was easy. It was easy to sort of put Nintendo to the side at that time.
I've been doing that exercise where I'm figuring how many games have I beaten, and I've done a lot of platforms. I haven't done like Switch or PC yet. Like, guess what's number one right now by a factor of 2?
I don't know.
It's Xbox 360.
Oh, okay, yeah, wow.
I was playing a ton of Xbox 360 at this point.
We all were. It was a fantastic console, despite Red Ring issues aside.
Yeah,
obviously.
there's a reason why we just kept buying them, even though they broke. It's I need it. I have to have.
My friend bought like 4 of them.
Yeah,
and we live in Argentina. That's not a cheap thing to do.
Right.
No,
so I was definitely, I think, just kind of playing 360 shit at that point. But so and when the 3DS version came out, I didn't mess with that. So I was looking forward to this release. I could finally play through this game. And it's really fun. I definitely think there's still and I'm not usually somebody be like, how much is this game worth? $60 for this pretty bare minimum up-resing enhancing here is kind of a lot. There are aspects of the game that the presentation doesn't feel great. Like, even when the game just started, right? Like, you think about Donkey Kong Country 1, and you have, Cranky Kong turning that, old gramophone or whatever, and then, Donkey Kong comes down, and it's like, you're right? Yep. Here, it's just you start the system's here's the logo and some clouds behind it. Now push start, you sap. And it's like, okay. So little things like that. There's still times where the game looks nice. The soundtrack is good. Those silhouette levels still look really nice, right? And when you're getting into,
I love those. Yeah.
And when you kind of get into the groove of doing your barrel rolls and jumping on enemies, it feels really nice. I like the gimmick levels a lot, especially those Flappy Bird style kind of barrel rocket levels. In the minecart levels here are a ton of fun too. Boss fights are weak, but I think boss fights have always been the weakest part of the Donkey Kong Country game. So
Yep.
Not a big
I
surprise.
think actually the better part of Tropical Freeze improves that. I think the boss fights in Tropical Freeze are a bit better.
Maybe a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit better. But yeah, I was watching you play this, Mike, and I was like, oh, maybe I do want to replay this. You know,
Yeah.
I think I did play it some on Wii, and then I really played it on 3DS, and it looked really good on Switch. I know there was some issues early on when people were comparing the video to the Wii version. The Wii had, you know, better colors and things like that. It was maybe a little bit better in terms of details. And some of that stuff got smudged out in this HD transition. But I don't know. I looked at what you were playing, and it looked pretty good to me. So kind of maybe getting in the mood to play it as well.
Certainly looks good enough. I'll say that.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, yeah. It is. It's full $60, right?
It's a full $60. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like
That's maybe a bit rough. But yeah, like Divorce Cougar in chat says, $50 with a Nintendo voucher.
That's still a lot.
I've done that a lot of times actually. So
it's not-
I got to get Metroid Prime still, so maybe I will do another one of those $100 vouchers and split it between those two games. So
real quick, been playing Dark Souls 3, you know, right? Playing through the series. That's a great
Hell
game.
yeah.
Dark Souls 3,
Yeah.
very
What?
good.
That's rank them right now. So far, which one is your favorite? You had to. That's a correct answer.
Yeah, I'm not very far into 3 yet, like 10 hours. Which, you know, it's far, but not that far. I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be 3, 1, 2. That's probably going to be the ranking.
Yeah.
3 is just very. What's interesting is like the complaint with 3 I always heard is like, well, you know, it's a bit more linear because the different areas don't connect in as many different ways as they do in Dark Souls 1. And that's true, but like each area is big and each area wraps around itself a lot. So like maybe each area only goes to like 1 or 2 other areas, but yeah, whatever. You're still unlocking all those shortcuts and other paths and things like that. And the game is just so gorgeous. I got to this one town. It's like it looks like a Thomas Kincaid Christmas painting in all the best ways. It's just very pretty. And I'm doing a dexterity build this time, so I'm switching things up. I'm not just doing a giant sword and shield, so I'm a roly boy. I have these like dual kind of sword katana things. I don't know, but you know, I'm slashing very quickly now. It's a different playstyle. I'm having a ton of fun. Very impressed with Dark Souls 3. I forget when that game came out, but it still just looks very good. If anybody like likes playing Elden Ring, you don't want to go back to every Souls game, play Dark Souls 3 because that's basically Elden Ring without the jumping and the open world stuff. Like, so much of it is familiar.
Yeah, I think whenever I hear from fans talking, and if Bloodborne's not their favorite one, Dark Souls 3 is their favorite usually.
And Sekiro comes up a lot too.
Yeah, of course, yes, and yeah, it's definitely
everything comes up at Dark Souls 2, and I'm not a Dark Souls 2 hater. Clearly, the worst one though.
Yeah, you're right. Because like I was gonna say, well, it comes up. No, there are defenders of Dark Souls 2. Right. I don't think even they are saying it's their favorite From game. So yeah,
it's a lot.
I'm envious. I would love to do this. What you've done here of playing through the Dark Souls games. So might try that as well at some point.
Grubb Souls.
Time for that. Yep, Grubb Souls.
And now I know I'm an expert. I can help you out. It'll be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right. Anything else, Mikey?
Well, we got some more super chats that.
Wait.
Yo.
I've been playing Path of Exile 2. That shit is so addictive. It's such a good game. I was so sad that I didn't
pay someone to play for you.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the reason why I started playing. It's funny you say it. I was like, there has to be something for this dumbass to like. He wants to pretend so hard to be good at this video game, and it makes me kind of sad a little bit because this game is. This game is so easy to just enjoy. You just like jump in, enjoy, play the game, be a happy person. And he can't even do that. He's the richest motherfucker in the planet Earth, and he can't enjoy this. It was like, oh well, yeah, that's dude.
I want to play this. This might be one where it's try to fill in a UPF with Path of Exile 2.
I need to try it.
Could we start Path of Exile 2, and 1 would be interesting, and 2 would we have fun?
Yeah. It gets going not super fast, but relatively fast. Like a couple hours, you're just like building your stuff already. You getting your skills and that kind of stuff. Right, the skill tree, the meme is real for the skill tree, the passive skill. But once you figure out how it works, it's super easy. It's just like you pick a path and you go. It's It's
Very cool.
Yeah, it looks intimidating, but it's actually they ease you up into all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they
Yeah.
make that pretty easy because they want
And-
people on that grind. Yep.
Yes, and I can't believe this game is gonna be free to play because now is in their kind of early access. You have to pay $15. That's like the lowest tier you can pay to play the game, and this game is gonna be free to play. It's really pretty. I like how it looks. It looks pretty cool. And the controllers, that's the thing. They give you the option to move the character with the like clicking in the map, and the guy will like run it. But they also give you the option to move it with as the WAS, like she's controlled direct. And I started with the click, and I was like, doesn't feel kind of good. And then I changed, and it changed. Like it's just it feels like Dark Souls, it feels like more actiony. I had to learn the patterns of the enemies and that kind of stuff because the dodging is very important, and that
I think it turned out that people discovered that ARPGs are actually even more fun with direct control.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do that on Diablo. Maybe I should try that because I didn't connect.
Diablo has controller support, so
controller support. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was pretty surprised.
With them.
I was pretty surprised how I played every Diablo. I liked them at least a bit. I could not get through Diablo 4's expansion. I was so bored. I was so bored going through it. It surprised me. So yeah, I'll try this out. See what I think of it. Jeff, by the way, when I posted the sticky note of the Mount Rushmore, I tried to link it to the YouTube channel, and I wrote Jeffrey Grubb wrong, so it's going to a different Jeff Grubb, and I'm not fixing it.
Yeah, fine, whatever. I don't care.
Good job.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem. Super chats.
Next one here is from JD Camp. It says NFL players eat about 80,000 Uncrustables a year. Penis.
I mean, you can't argue with facts. Those are just facts and figures.
Seems like a lot of carbs for a football player.
Yeah, they do need carbs though, because they have to like power both all their muscles and their brain for a long time. So yeah, they probably do eat quite a few carbs before a match.
Yeah. Next one's from Elk Grug, says AJ Minotti for Game Mess Hall of Fame. I don't think we put any people in there yet.
We will do. I was just thinking a new Game Mess Hall of Fame here pretty soon. Next couple of weeks.
Maybe we should pit just these 4 Switch Mount Rushmore games against each other. See what two do.
Yeah, well, I'll have to double check and see if any of them are on there already. They might be. We'll check.
APM video says, "Evening, Messy Boys. Thoughts on Bloodborne PC emulator." See what means here.
Yes, I have been hearing about this recently, and I have a 4090. Apparently, it runs very well if you have a 4090. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to find time to do this, and we will play some 60 frames per second Bloodborne.
I'm still pretty good. Just someday they're going to remaster that thing or whatever. I'm okay waiting for then. You think?
No.
Look, when I say someday, I'm like, hey, maybe 5 years from now. But I think someday they will.
Okay. I mean, maybe, but I mean, just right now, it just feels like there's no hope for that. But
I already beat this game. I'm not like in some giant rush. It's fine. Mikey O'Leary says poo poo pee pee. Thank you, Mikey O'Leary. And then Chris Pratt.
Pee-pee? Sorry,
wow, that was
timed
fast.
That perfectly. I feel very good about that. Yep.
And pee pee.
Yeah, there we go.
Chris Pratt says pretty excited for Nintendo's internet services. You see what this is an acronym for, Jeff?
Yep. I'm looking at it. I'm P-E.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris Pratt. Fantastic work there. Thank you. That's that. We did it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris Son, and everyone else who sent in super chats. I'm just going to read some random names here. Whitelands and Burrito and Symbiosis, everybody sent in super chats. Thank you so much. You really made the show a lot of fun tonight.
Music, Mike.
Yeah, I'll start playing the music now. Sure.
All right, cool. Yeah.
I'll start screaming when it gets loud. You'll know.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, it's December. There aren't a lot of games coming out. Maybe I'll go play some Donkey Kong.
Did you say it's December?
It's January.
Whatever. Listen, I've had a rough one today where my brain is barely functioning. I had mukbang. I couldn't understand the word mutatione or whatever, mutationum.
Remember when you tried to start the podcast earlier? That was great.
I tried to start the podcast and you told me what we were doing and I heard you and then I just, you know what? Here's what really happened. you were like, you said that, and then Christian said, just give me a countdown. And I'm like, yeah, that's a better idea. As if that was an alternative he was suggesting. That's what happened in that moment. And I'm like, okay, I just stopped working again. Yeah, just thanks everybody. I forget what I was talking about.
About how your brain's dying.
Yeah, oh yeah, that, yeah. Thanks for everybody for letting my brain die.
Yeah, that's
it's
okay.
been a good time.
Yeah.
Bowser's Hurry tomorrow. What time is that?
Bowser's Hurry, I think we're going to start that at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So an hour after Game Mess Mornings, we'll get all set up. We'll get in there. We are going to be
Get in there.
Get in there. We're going to be raising money for the Red Cross of the United States of America to help out people in Los Angeles who have been affected by the fires there. And so it'll be a nice long stream of me, Mike, Dan, maybe Sean. He is still a question mark because of his wrist. To compete to finish Bowser's Fury first. The first person to get enough cat shines, of which there are 100, I've heard. And the first one to beat that game will be the winner. I'm really looking forward to this because a reason to play Bowser's Fury again. I love that game.
That's a fun game. Yeah, definitely am in the mood to play some Switch highlights. And yeah, but that's not maybe a game that would make the Mount Rushmore, but definitely one of my favorite games on the Switch is just 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I didn't like 3D World that much on the Wii U. Then that Switch version happened. It's like one of my favorites.
Did I really call Indiana Jones the Fantastic Circle, Michael or Mikey O'Leary, or are you just giving me more shit? If I did that,
God.
I am gonna go
That would
ask my
rule.
wife to like take me to the doctor.
Thank you, everybody who did.
I 100% did. Fuck.
Oh, perfect.
Poo poo pee pee.
I have to poop.